And whenever
Okay.
you're ready, Emily.
Yeah, so welcome to the information session about the direct funding program in Ontario. We're presenting from Independent Living Waterloo Region, and this is one of our self-managers who is on the program. Her name is Maddie, and so we have used her picture in our presentation. So yeah, I think Robin, we'll start with the land acknowledgement.
Yep. So yeah, we'll just start with a brief land acknowledgement. So I'll just go through this now. So acknowledge that we are located on the Haldimand Tract, traditional and unceded territory of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, and Neutral peoples. It encompasses 980,000 acres of land that was given to the Six Nations in 1784, 10 kilometers on each side of the Grand River. This land is a part of the Dish with One Spoon Treaty between the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples and symbolizes the agreement to share, protect our resources, and not to engage in conflict. We extend our respect to all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples for their past and present contributions to this land. We also recognize and respect the cultural diversity that First Nations, Métis, and Inuit bring to our region. With the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation being celebrated across Canada on September 30th, we are grateful for the opportunity to operate and meet here and affirm our collective commitment to make the promise and the challenge of truth and reconciliation real in our organization.
Thank you, Robin. So just to give you an idea of our agenda, we've done the land acknowledgement. We're going to do a quick introduction of Independent Living Waterloo Region and our direct funding team. We're going to talk about what is independent living and how does it connect to the direct funding model. We have our wonderful guest speaker here, Twyla, who is a direct funding participant and has lots of lived experience with this program. We're going to review the program eligibility criteria, the interview process, and supports available for applicants. And then we will move into our Q&A and then our poll. Don't forget about the poll. So, yeah. So, about Independent Living Waterloo Region, we've got our, well, this is a little bit about the organization that we work for. I am the community relations lead with ILWR since March of this year. And it's one of the few programs that our center offers, including attendance services program, our community resource program, and of course the DF program. Our office works with people in Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge, Guelph, Wellington, Hamilton, Dundas, and up towards Orangeville and Shelburne. So we have quite a large catchment area. And the overall kind of vision and mission is to support and champion independent living, persons with disabilities through self-directed programs and services, and direct funding is certainly one of our self-directed programs.
All right, so now we're going to play a video to introduce the direct funding team. So a little bit of a multimedia presentation. So I'll go ahead and play that so you get to know who is all attending today.
Hi, I'm Hiba. I'm the direct funding report reviewer, and we're here supporting.
Hi, I'm Martin, and I am the regional report coordinator, and you have choice.
Hi, I'm Robin. I'm the direct funding resource coordinator, and you have control.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm the community relations lead, and you have flexibility.
Hey, my name is Dan Oswald, and I'm the program manager for direct funding here in Waterloo. Direct funding can help you live your life independently, your way.
Awesome. So that little video just kind of gives a little bit of a brief introduction to all of the team members who are here. And our admin team, Martin and Heba, will be available for question and answer as well at the end if there's specific things in their sort of wheelhouse that people have questions about. So we talk a little bit now about the independent living movement, basically how, all of this got started, why is direct funding around, how did it come about? So really the independent living movement or the philosophy began in the United States in the 1980s, and then it came to Canada. Independent Living Waterloo Region was actually the first independent living center in Canada, and so we've been around for quite some time. And this movement believes that people with disabilities know their own needs and are capable of finding solutions to problems around disability issues. It also believes that they can take risks and make mistakes, and that they should focus on quality of life and not limitations. So really this philosophy was looking for an alternative to the sort of that traditional delivered service model, sort of your traditional agency care. And so the direct funding program was sort of born out of that, right? Looking for a program or a way of organizing your care that provided more control, more autonomy to the person actually receiving services. So I'll introduce our guest speaker, Twyla. So Twyla joins us from the Waterloo area to speak about her lived experience on direct funding, living with a progressive disability. So Twyla has actually been on direct funding since October 31st, 2018. So coming up to your anniversary very soon. And she is going to just speak briefly about what it's like to be on direct funding and sort of how it's impacted her. So take it away, Twyla.
Sorry, I was reflecting on October 31st, so it's my upcoming birthday, and I feel like direct funding is truly a gift. Could bring tears to my eyes because it allows me to be extremely independent. When I started needing care in 2014, and by 2018, I needed more hours than could be provided by independent agencies. And I was with ILC, but I believe it was them that suggested direct funding. It seemed extremely intimidating to get it all started and worked out, but I'm very happy I stuck with it and was accepted into the program. I live with my husband, and now my sons are older, and there's just too much that my husband would have had to do independently. When I was working with independent organization, Paramed and ILC, I was only given 21 hours a week. And at that point, those organizations could only give me 17 hours with their amount of people they had on staff. So with direct funding, I have been allotted 38 hours a week of care, and then 3 extra hours for food preparation and shopping, as well as a bunch of hours for bonus. So if someone has to come out in the evening and stays up till like 11 o'clock at night, I'm able to give them a 3-hour bonus. So that helps give them incentive. They help me with getting up in the morning. I have a 3-hour shift. Getting up, I do an exercise routine with them in the morning. They will also get my laundry in, help me with toileting is a big one. Some mornings we do showering. And food, I am now needing them to assist me with my eating. Before they would have just gotten the food to the plate, but now they even are able to help me eat. In the afternoon, I have a bathroom routine that I go through with my person that comes in, as well as finishing up laundry and getting some supper preparation ready. And then I've set it up that I have evening help come in and get me ready for bed. Now, when it's your hours, you can decide when the people come and when the people would leave. You can sort of depend on how long your shifts are, which is a little bit different than some of the organizations. I won't call any out, but they say they have to come for 4 hours. And so that's really challenging when you have to go to the bathroom 3 hours later, right? So you're able to sort of make it independent to your own schedules as well. The one other piece is the hiring of people. It can be very intimidating to do that hiring, but I've used Marketplace, has been very successful. I also do the Elmira newspaper because I find those are the I know that community, so I like to, you can pick and choose who you want in your communities and the people. However, it's not an easy job, and remember, you have to ask. You might have a lot of no's or no responses, but all of a sudden you'll get a yes, and then that person works. Currently, I work with 6 PSWs that come in my house in a week. And so for me, it seems like my life is full of PSWs, but to them, they're able to offer a shift on a Monday, Tuesday, and then I don't see them till the following Monday or Tuesday. Also, the other part of direct funding is paying the people. However, you get connected to an excellent bookkeeper. And I know for me, there was through direct funding ILC that they suggested an accountant. I don't know if they still have names that they can offer you or if you need to find your own accountant. They can talk to that a little bit later. But I can't budget my own money coming in. That accountant keeps you very on task, kindly, and the money just appears in the account that has been set up. And most you really have to do is write the checks. Oh no, that's not quite true. You also have to have them write down hours, however you decide to do that, and get those hours to the accountant, and then write the checks every 2 weeks. Please don't let that make you nervous or scared. And the interviewing and process, that's good. My ads start out with, I'm looking for a kind, compassionate, caring person to help me with my personal care. And it's also very important that they have a sense of humor. And then the right people read those words and they will reach out to you. So it seems maybe intimidating starting off, but like coming up to my, if I do the math, 8-year birthday, I'm just so grateful. And I'm actually very grateful continuing on in the program, considering my health is declining and I'm needing more and more assistance. So I'm glad I've got it set up now. And I think that's all I'll say.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Twyla. Well said. It's so helpful to have somebody here who lives the program every day and can offer some insight into, what it actually looks like. And just for everyone in the audience there, Twyla is sticking around till the end as well. So she will be available to answer questions during our Q&A session. If you have something specific you'd like to ask her about, you're free to pick her brain and do that. But we will, for now, get her along with the rest of the presentation. Thanks, Twyla.
Yeah, thanks, Twyla. That brings us to the direct funding program as we know it. The direct funding program is an innovative province-wide program in Ontario that enables adults with physical disabilities to become employers and manage their own attendance services. So self-managers, which is what we call the participants in the direct funding program, recruit, train, schedule the attendance of their choosing. So essentially, self-managers are employers in Ontario with the added support of program staff and all the resources that direct funding has to offer. Today, the program continues to grow and gain new participants, still operating out of the 11 resource centers. The hardworking program staff are able to support approximately 1,000 self-managers in Ontario. And the program, since it started in 1994, has seen nearly 1,800 participants, and is considered a lifelong program, with many participants having been on direct funding since it began.
Amazing. Thank you, Emily.
And so that kind of summarized. Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, we
We
covered that
did that
already.
one too. I already talked about that slide.
All good. I switched while you were talking.
Oh, fantastic.
So we'll touch on the funding source. So sometimes people wonder, where does the money come from? What does that flow look like? Who funds this program? So this program is funded provincially by the Ministry of Health. That money funnels through the Ontario Health Toronto Central, and then it does get managed by sort of our head office, which is the Centre for Independent Living in Toronto, or CILT. They are the facilitators of the DF program. And they oversee sort of all aspects of the program, including the funding. So they will distribute money on a monthly basis to our participants or self-managers. They receive money to their direct funding bank accounts, which they then pay their attendance staff with by check, which Twyla did speak about. So ultimately, the money ends up to the attendance staff, those who are actually supporting people in this program. But we like to kind of just show the flow of money, so in case people are wondering sort of how that all works. Go ahead.
So, like previously mentioned, there are 11 independent living centers across the province, and we'll show you exactly where those are that cover the entire province for this program.
So you'll see on the map here that we have the 11 centers across Ontario. Our largest one probably being Toronto, with many, many participants. And basically, we don't expect you to know all the little areas that are under all of these centers. But if you or someone you know is interested in the program, we just recommend that you just get in touch either with our office and we can connect you with the appropriate center, or if you're working with our center, then we are happy to give you more information on the program. Really getting in touch with your local ILRC is sort of the first step. And we're going to talk a little bit about all of the steps involved with getting on the program. But really, each of these centers offers really specialized, like local experience. So, hiring in all these different areas can look very different. So your local center will be able to provide you with really specialized and like localized support. So the advantages of direct funding, you may have heard sort of our three key words, or sort of our cornerstone words in our introduction video. They really are choice, flexibility, and control. So this program allows individuals with disabilities to self-manage their lives, make their own choices about how and when they receive attendance services. Very much like Twyla described, she gets to choose who those 6 people are coming into her home, sort of when they come, and she's able to kind of manage all of those pieces. We've got some quotes here, like "my family is my family now." This program is a very strong believer that family should just be family, and the caregiving responsibility should be, given to those attendant staff. This is a really big deal for a lot of our participants, and a lot of people come on this program specifically because they want those family relationships back, and they want to put the burden of the care on their attendants. So that's a really big piece for some people. There was no more feel of being a burden, and I got a sense of myself, a new sense of freedom. And self-management moved me from the passenger seat to the driver's seat. So really just those, these quotes really encompass those choice, control, and flexibility. You really have control over all aspects of your care, and you're able to, use all of those to your advantage. So now we'll talk a little bit about the eligibility criteria. So, who is allowed to come on direct funding? Like, what are the criteria? So someone could apply for direct funding if they're an Ontario resident who is age 16 years or older. They have to require attendance services due to a permanent physical disability that is stable and somewhat predictable. They have to be able to recruit, hire, train, and schedule attendant workers for themselves. So there's that self-managed piece that comes in there. This is a self-managed program. And we're going to talk about all of the different responsibilities that kind of come with that. But this is just in general the things that you'll have to do on this program. They have to require assistance with at least one of the following tasks. So those are transferring, bathing, toileting, or dressing. There is a secondary list that you have to have a couple of tasks from as well. But as long as you're meeting one of these sort of main requirements, we would look at moving forward with an application. And then they have to be able to carry out employer responsibilities and manage their budget. So we will go into detail on what all of those responsibilities are, but really it's that someone is willing and able to sort of take on this challenge and really take control of the assistance in their home. Then we come to the application process. So I like to review the application process in these presentations, just so that people know kind of what would be expected of them. So the first step really is just reviewing those eligibility that I've already covered. So this would mean contacting your local ILRC from that map that we reviewed a couple slides ago, going over the application, and you said reviewing all of those things that they would need to do to see if it's a good fit for them. We support people the entire way through this process, right from that first eligibility call. If it looks like direct funding is a good fit, we'll go to step 2, which would be the application. Applications can be found on our website. Offices have hard copies at the ILRC level. So we would support you with completing that application and getting all of those pieces and all the information that you need. So we're really there every step of the way. Once the application has been received in Toronto, we would add you to the provincial wait list. So we do go by a chronological wait list in terms of booking interviews. I will talk a little bit about some changes to the wait list on the next slide, but really, this would be sort of the next phase. You get put on a list. And then we would begin working on interview prep to get you ready for the interview. So this program does require you to be a part of an interview panel, which I'll go into a little bit more detail later. And you would be expected to demonstrate your knowledge that you're ready to come on this program. Sort of our update for the waitlist. This program really is looking to grow and has been over the last year or so. So we've really mobilized our resources in the province. And as a result of that, there's a lot of funding available currently, and the waitlist has reduced. So, a little while ago, you would have maybe been on the waitlist for about a year before we started prepping for your interview. Today, if someone applies for direct funding, we're looking to interview you within 3 to 4 months. And then the expectation is that you're likely on the program within 6 months. So it is a really quick turnaround time right now. The program is currently not full. So until the program is full, this is sort of our mandate that we're looking to bring on as many people as possible. And we're looking for people who are highly motivated to get on board with this. So what does managing your attendant services mean? What are all of those big, scary responsibilities that you're going to have to, deal with on this program? I'm going to break it down so it's not so big and scary. So the first one is going to be recruiting. So Twyla talks a little bit about her recruiting process, right? You're going to learn from your local ILRC, you're going to learn how to advertise, how to interview, what questions can you ask, what can't you ask? How do you train people? How do you fire people? We're going to go through all of that with you and teach you all of those different responsibilities. We have a lot of great resources that we can share, and you'll learn all of these things to prep for your interview. You're also going to learn about payroll, right? Like, what does basic payroll look like? What does net pay? What does gross pay mean? And, how do I, run a biweekly payroll? You will have the assistance of a bookkeeper with this. Bookkeepers are definitely worth their weight in gold, and they will support you through all parts of that. But we want to know that you have an understanding of what basic payroll is. Okay. And then there's the reporting requirement. So you would be required to submit quarterly reports to the program, showing all the money that's come in, what you've spent, and we look for sort of those checks and balances to make sure that the funding is being spent appropriately. Again, the bookkeeper is a very, very big support in that process. So they do a lot of this on your behalf. And then the bottom ones are sort of the organizations or sort of legislation that you're going to be responsible to. So the CRA reporting, these are things like submitting monthly remittances from payroll collections and things like that. Bookkeeper helps with that. Registering with the Workplace Safety Insurance Board, so you'll have coverage for your staff in case they get injured on the job. And then the ESA. So we want to know that you are following the Employment Standards Act, the Ontario Human Rights Code, and keeping up to date with changes to those different legislations. Okay, so what is the interview? What's all involved? It seems like a really kind of big, scary process. So I like to break it down here a little bit to make it seem a little bit less intimidating. We try to keep the interview very, very casual. We're really trying to just get at your knowledge, but it's really a conversation, especially when it comes to like your budget negotiation. It really is a conversation about your needs and sort of how the program can support you. So to go through an interview, there would be a 3-person panel. One of the people on that panel is your local rep. So for Waterloo, that's me. So someone you've already been working with this whole time. There would then be a representative from SILT in Toronto, representing the program as a whole. And then we have a consumer panelist. So somebody who's on the program, who lives and breathes it every day, they're going to be on the panel as well as your peer support to try and offer advice where they can. Interviews are about 2 to 3 hours long, but we definitely are aware that that can be a long time for some people. So we are not we're not opposed to scheduling it in 2 parts. If someone doesn't want to sit through the entire thing in one session, that's totally fine. We offer them in sort of virtual, hybrid virtual and in person. So, some parts of it might be in person, some parts of it might be virtual, and we're pretty flexible that way. We would review all of your application and as well as your proposed service plan. So we go through all of the application criteria, your schedule that you're proposing, which would ultimately end in a final budget, and then we evaluate your knowledge of sort of all those employment aspects. Again, you would have been like learning all of these things all the way along, and then we just sort of assess your knowledge and see if you're able to apply it to the program itself. So not so scary, right? When you look at all the little individual pieces. And lastly, I like to touch on like what does the program actually cover? Some people have questions about, what will this cost me out of pocket? What are the financial implications? I think one of the first things I like to mention is that I think I forgot to mention at the last presentation was this program is income independent. So this program does not affect your ODSP. It does not affect it's not affected by your income at all. Everybody is treated the same when it comes to income level, and that does not have any sort of weight on whether you get on the program or not. It also doesn't have any weight on what your final budget would be. So there are no costs associated with this program out of pocket unless you chose to pay above and beyond what the program was able to provide you. So sort of 3 categories of things we cover. First one being regular monthly wages. So we do pay up to $25 an hour for attendant wages. We have overnights available for those who qualify, travel premiums for short shifts or people who live in rural areas, as well as occasional assistance and emergency rates. So all of the budgets are very individualized based on your needs, and we would look at sort of all aspects of your life when we're putting together that budget for you. The next category are our MERCs and benefits. So MERCs is our fancy acronym that stands for Mandatory Employment Related Costs. So these are all of the costs associated with being an employer in Ontario. So that means portions of your CPP and EI deductions. The employer pays a portion as well as your staff. WSIB premiums, like I mentioned earlier with the coverage you'll have, 4% vacation pay, and public holiday pay for our 9 public holidays in Ontario. That's all covered. And then our third category is our miscellaneous expenses. So these expenses are all the same across the board for all self-managers. So you'd receive bookkeeping expense, advertising, bank account, and liability insurance coverage. So these are all the same. And again, there should be no cost for these out of pocket for the individual. So that's sort of all the meat and potatoes of the program. Emily and I are going to talk a little bit about some quick facts, some things that sometimes people ask about that are just sort of, outside of sort of the main information. So one thing that's really interesting that people don't expect is that the funding can actually be used in a lot of different places. So you can use direct funding in your home, in the community, or while traveling within Ontario, as well as outside of Ontario. So you can travel with your staff outside of the province for up to 21 days per year, unlimited days within Ontario. And you can bring your staff or hire staff from outside the province as well. So it's really, really flexible if you like to take vacations and you need assistance while you're doing so. As well, you can use your funding for things like medical appointments, grocery shopping, and sort of those emergency and overnight shifts as applicable. It's important to note as well that self-managers can keep all of their clinical services from Ontario Health at Home. So that means that if you have nursing or occupational therapy or physiotherapy, you can keep all of those services when you come on this program. The only service that you can't keep is any PSW services that you have. You'll have to replace those with direct funding. So in terms of the hiring, we talked about all of the different hiring things that you'll have to do. You can pretty much hire anyone you like except immediate family members. So, the individual doesn't have to be a PSW. That would be totally your preference. So you could hire somebody who maybe has some caregiving experience caring for a family member, and you could train them to do the things that you need them to do. And then lastly, just the travel incentives, which I spoke about on the earlier slide. Emily?
So as Robin mentioned, the top wage for an attendant is $25 per hour. There is a range for that, but that is the top wage. Self-managers can train attendants for any of the listed care, like colostomy and ileostomy equipment, changing dressings, assistance with routine, and ROM exercises for 20 minutes per day. The smallest budget that we have is 15.7 hours per month. The youngest self-manager is 18 years old, and the oldest is over 95. Nurturing assistance is available to parents, so that allows you to spend time with your children, with support as well. And coverage for a personal medical alarm, such as Lifeline or something like that, can be covered by DF for those who would benefit from that service.
Excellent. So that pretty much wraps up our presentation. We do have a slide here with our contact information. The QR code does connect you right to the direct funding page for ILWR, which does have contact for our staff. You'll see as well, we've got our direct funding website at the bottom. That's the main direct funding website. And then we have our social media tags as well. So anybody who, please feel free to snap a photo of this slide before we get to the Q&A. But if anybody does want a copy of these slides, I'm happy to share them following the presentation as well. But what I'll do now is I will stop sharing and we will open things up for our Q&A.